Our Bowling Green facility has a rich history of performance car manufacturing. We worked very hard over the years to look at what our customers expect from performance vehicles, and we put processes in place to do just that.
This area was just bare floor when I came here, so I've been able to watch it as we build up and install the tools, install all of the stop station areas, all the electronics, the technology.
So we set about how do we generate floor space and how do we really lay this out for a 3-job-an-hour build. So we determined that with a 20-minute cycle time, it didn't make a lot of sense to have a moving conveyor, that we would be much better off to bring the vehicle into station, have the operator do their operations without the vehicle moving along.
We want the operator to do very little walking, and so the material needs to be presented to him in a very efficient manner, and that's how we use the kit cars. Every kit car that comes to the operator in station has the exact part that that car is supposed to get.
If an operator has 20 minutes worth of work to do, it's very difficult for them to remember all the steps that they've got to go through. So the manufacturing folks have done a lot of things to help that out, but from an engineering standpoint, we've had error-proof things so that you can only put them on one way. They don't have to think about it a lot on how it goes on, and that speeds them and makes them more efficient in their job performance.
We have used some flat screen technology where the operator can look at a screen and can tell step by step whether or not all the operations have been completed at that station.
And we developed through excruciating detail for 2 years the production process and exactly how it would work, how it would be laid out, and how we could successfully get this car launched here at Bowling Green.
The body shop, I think that's one of the most interesting parts of the plant. The frame rail is very unique. You know, we take a tube, which is kind of like anything like an exhaust system pipe. We bend it to shape, fill it with what is a substance almost like milk, cap it off at either end, and pressurize it, and it's almost like a balloon.
It adds rigidity to the car, it makes the car stiffer, and gives it the ride also that it's needed. We have 3 basic parts to our body shop. A rail line, where we sub-assemble that rail, put on all the suspension parts, which are critical to the build of the car for the Cadillac. We have what we call a tunnel line, and in the tunnel, that's basically what goes between the rails. And then we also have the main uniframe line.
You don't have any of the variation in welding that takes place. If you had multiple components, it's much stiffer. It's just a real great platform to build a car on.
Well, the assembly process is very unique. We start off and the frames are loaded onto the single chain conveyor that we have, and it goes through basically what we call is our car track area, and we put on the structural panels. And then we put the cockpit in and we load that into the actual car. And it leaves that area, gets measured in our Perceptron.
The Perceptron Vision Station will have a set of cameras that can go in and visually check the location of individual points that we've identified on the vehicle. And it will measure that relative to where those points should be in space.
And then goes into what we call our trim stations and gets trimmed out on the interior. So all of the beautiful fits, nice finish, the eucalyptus wood, things like that that you see inside the vehicle are put on in those stations.
We sub-assemble all the chassis components offline. We put the chassis together offline as a unit, and then we actually bring the body of the car from the build line over to this cell, marry it in the cell, and then transfer the married vehicle back to the line.
It's a rather complex cell, and they put together that underbody that gives this beautiful car the performance that the customer is expecting. There's a lot of hands-on craftsmanship that's put into this car that we're able to do because the car is a stop station build, making sure that everything is right so when the customer gets it, they have the high quality, high performance vehicle that they're looking for.
We use automation where it's appropriate. Automation has its place, but in low volume situations, we went with manual operations and developed the hand craftsmanship that we are famous for here in Bowling Green.
Can't think of another product that I'd rather work on. You know, it's exciting, it's got performance, it's got luxury. Every time I show the car to people and run the top, it's just amazing. It's like, wow, can I see that again?
The exciting thing about the XLR retractable hardtop is that this is a new breakthrough vehicle. The retractable hardtop is the largest in the industry. We take from the front of the windshield frame all the way to the back of the rear fascia. We have a complete system that'll take it from a coupe to a complete convertible top with the push of a button. We fixture build these roof assemblies in all of the build bucks that you see behind me. We hold all of the tolerances, we set all of the gap and flush requirements, which is what the consumer is going to want, then take it over to our final checking fixture where we can simulate a perfect car, and then we water test before we send them out the door. And guarantee that the top assembly we deliver is a perfect top before it gets to Cadillac.
It's working flawlessly for us, and it's just great.
One thing that's unique about Bowling Green is we have experience with newer technology, lightweight materials.
Each panel is an individual piece that goes on a carrier system that we run through the paint shop. So each operator in the paint shop selects the panel individually, loads them onto the carrier, comes into the prime booth where we actually do our robotic application of our prime spray. Car leaves there, goes into a oven. It's baked at 23 minutes, 265 degrees. Leaves the oven system, goes into the prime finesse booth. In the prime finesse booth, we have 4 operators. They wet sand and remove all the defects and do a lot of inspection work. The operator actually does a lot of visual inspection, a lot of touchy-feely type things, moves their hands around the panels, looks for defects, that kind of thing. And we remove them with sandpaper and a wet sponge. In the first color spray booth, we actually have 2 different carriers for the Cadillac. Our base coat technology almost demands that we spray through a robotic process here. They are very precise. They yield a perfect job after job. When we move over to our clear coat application process, we have a 2-component clear coat, and our 2-component clear coat is an environmentally safe clear coat. Car enters the first color finesse booth where we have 8 different operators doing the same thing we did in prime finesse. So there's a lot of hands-on craftsmanship done in there where the operators really spend a lot of time looking for quality defects that the customer may see or have a problem with.
We take the panels that are delivered from the paint shop, and the very last thing in the process is the installation of the exterior panels to the vehicle.
We actually put the panels on. Later in the process, one of the last things we do, set the doors on. We use a lot of precision type tooling to make sure that the gaps and the flushness and basically the entire build of the car meets the high expectation of the customer. We've got checks all throughout the system, and we have one final check at the end, and then we drive the car off and we go into our DVT booth, which is a dynamic vehicle testing.
We'll put it through a sequence of tests in braking, accelerating, etc., all on rollers there in the booth. The computer can monitor a number of electrical connections, performance characteristics, engine characteristics, and determine whether or not there are any issues. Once it leaves the DVT booth, we'll pull it out the back door, and right here on our lot, we've got a squeak and rattle track with various road surfaces. We'll run it across that surface with a trained inspector driving it to determine whether or not there's anything there that could annoy the customer in the future. Assuming we pass that test, we'll take it into a universal water test booth. I mean, this brings in water at sort of the rate of a monsoon. Before we ship it, one last time, we bring it over to an inspection station that we call CARE. What we're really doing there is we've got a set of standardized work that the operator's going to look over the full vehicle and say, yes, everything says that this vehicle's met our standards.
We put a great blend of automated and manual systems together that interact with each other that ensures quality for the customer.
We did it all on time, without any hiccups. Dimensionally, the car coming out the door has been as good as any car we've built.
We've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this thing, and we know this is going to be a great product for Cadillac and for General Motors.
People feel an ownership in this vehicle. Every vehicle that we build is the handcrafted work of these individuals, and they want to make sure that it's done right.
I feel that it's history-making for us in this assembly plant, as well as myself, and I just feel wonderful being a part of it.
It's going to be the carrier of the reputation of Cadillac. Quite frankly, more importantly to us, it's the flagship and it's the carrier of the reputation of Bowling Green.
Here I am, a performance guy that's in a position where I can also recommend a really luxurious performance type Cadillac now. So that's the best of both worlds. Really doesn't get any better than that, does it?